Am I the only one who didn't know that North Korea's past is even darker than its present? The history of North Korea is filled with tales of hardship, struggle, and a relentless pursuit of power that has shaped the nation into what it is today. The story of North Korea is, in many ways, the story of one man, Kim Il-sung. Kim Il-sung, the architect of North Korea, was born on April 15, 1912, in Mangyongdae, near Pyongyang. His early years were marked by the Japanese occupation of Korea, a period that deeply influenced his political ideology and ambitions. Growing up in a time of national turmoil, Kim was exposed to the harsh realities of colonial rule, which fueled his desire for Korean independence and self-reliance. Rising to prominence after World War II, he led North Korea from its establishment in 1948 until his death in 1994. His rise was not just a result of his political acumen, but also his ability to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape of the time. With the support of the Soviet Union, Kim Il-sung was able to consolidate power and establish a regime that would last for decades. Known for his authoritarian rule, Kim implemented strict and often brutal policies to maintain power. His regime was characterized by a cult of personality where dissent was not tolerated and loyalty to the leader was paramount. The government controlled every aspect of life, from the economy to the media, ensuring that Kim's vision for North Korea was unchallenged. One of his most infamous contributions was the philosophy of Juche, emphasizing self-reliance and centralized control. This ideology was more than just a political doctrine. It was a way of life that permeated every facet of North Korean society. Juche taught that the Korean people could achieve greatness through their own efforts, without relying on foreign powers. However, in practice, it led to isolation and economic hardship. This ideology became the bedrock of North Korea's political system, fostering a society saturated with propaganda, severe repression, and limited personal freedoms. The state-controlled media glorified Kim Il-sung and his achievements, creating an image of an infallible leader. Meanwhile, any form of dissent was met with harsh punishment, ensuring that the population remained loyal and obedient. Under Kim Il-sung's regime, human rights abuses were rampant. The government maintained a tight grip on the population, using fear and intimidation to suppress any opposition. Freedom of speech, assembly and religion were virtually non-existent, and the state used surveillance and informants to keep tabs on its citizens. The government orchestrated widespread purges, executions, and established prison camps, or gulags, where political dissidents and their families faced forced labor, torture, and inhumane conditions. These camps were notorious for their brutal treatment of inmates, many of whom were imprisoned for the slightest perceived disloyalty to the regime. The fear of being sent to a gulag was a powerful tool used by the government to maintain control. The regime's harsh policies even led to a catastrophic famine in the 1990s, costing the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of North Koreans. The famine was a result of a combination of factors, including poor agricultural policies, economic mismanagement, and natural disasters. Despite the suffering of the population, the government continued to prioritize military spending and the maintenance of the regime over the welfare of its people. Despite this, Kim Il-sung remains a revered figure in North Korea, celebrated as the great leader. His image is omnipresent in the country, with statues, portraits, and monuments dedicated to his memory. The state has worked hard to maintain his legacy, portraying him as a benevolent and wise leader who brought prosperity and independence to North Korea. His legacy is a chilling reminder of how power and ideology can shape and devastate a nation. The impact of his rule is still felt today, as North Korea continues to grapple with the consequences of his policies. The country's isolation, economic struggles, and human rights abuses can all be traced back to the foundations laid by Kim Il-sung. Intrigued? Like and subscribe to learn more about famous villains in history. The story of Kim Il-sung is just one example of how a single leader can leave an indelible mark on a nation, for better or for worse. Join us as we explore the lives and legacies of other historical figures who have shaped the world in profound ways.